guys, so I'm on page 6 of the chapter 8 note packet. I'm in section 8.2 doing objective number 2. So I've learned a few things from the first video that I posted. First, I don't think I figured out the portrait versus landscape mode. I think the landscape mode is going to make a clearer video. Second, I probably speak a little bit too slowly when I'm explaining things, so feel free to hit that gear wheel and speed up the video. So in objective number 2, we're going to look at introducing you to two-sample hypothesis testing for the difference between two population parameters. And all we're going to cover here on this page is how to write out the null and alternative hypotheses. So some terminology and some concepts that you would have known from chapter 7. So first, the null hypothesis is going to be a statistical hypothesis stating that there is no difference between the parameters of the two populations. As in chapter 7, the null will always have something involving equality. So a less than or equal sign, an equal sign, or a greater than or equal to sign. The alternative hypothesis, of course, is the one that we believe to be true if HO is false, and it will always contain an inequality symbol, a greater than, a different from, or a less than. So using statistical symbols, if we're looking at an inference procedure that has a claim about two population means, the null could either be that the means are equal, less than or equal to, or greater than or equal to. Notice there's always equality. While the alternative would be that the two means differ. The mean number 1 is less than the mean for 2. I'm sorry, that's a greater than sign. And then finally, the mean for sample population 1 is less than the mean for population 2. Essentially, we're always assuming no difference between the population means. A word of caution, you'll notice that subscripts 1 and 2 are now going to be used to describe each of the two populations. So the labels and your tracking of them is going to matter in each problem. Okay, so let's look at an example with context in it. And we're going to read the context and simply write the null and alternative hypotheses with symbols. So the context. There's about 110,000 elementary and secondary school teachers in Georgia and about 108,000 in Ohio. In a survey of 200 public elementary and secondary teachers in each state were asked to report their salary. If the results shown in the table below, and we're going to claim that the mean salary in Ohio is greater than the mean salary in Georgia. So remember, hypothesis testing involves a claim about parameters, and there's a claim that the mean in Ohio is greater than the mean in Georgia. Now you'll notice the data is summarized for the two states, and also notice that Georgia is being called population number 1, while Ohio is being called number 2. So if we have to determine the null and alternative hypotheses for this claim, here's how it's going to look. I hear a claim that the mean in Ohio is greater than the mean for Georgia. So since I heard greater than, that's going to be the HA. So Ohio is greater than Georgia. Excuse me, that would mean Georgia is less than Ohio. So Georgia is being called sample population 1 and Ohio population 2. So even though the word greater than appears in the claim, again, with the use of subscripts, Georgia is population 1 and Ohio is population 2. So if Ohio is being claimed to be greater than Georgia, that's the same as a claim of Georgia being less than Ohio. That's our claim. And then the null is the complement of that. So just like the previous chapter, the complement of a less than sign will be a greater than or equal to sign. And there you have it, writing the pair of hypotheses for a claim about two population means.